The built environment before Fairshare was graffiti. There were lots of burnt out cars. Lots of people were not getting on with each other, and I think it was something that people said, we've got to do something about this.
This was an area of great deprivation that needed heavy police presence, and also it needed someone really to pull all the strands together. And that's, in a sense, what Fairshare tended to do. It tended to offer an opportunity to the community to have a real interest in what it needed to do to try and raise the whole profile of the area.
We came up with some kind of broad brush priorities at the time, which were about community safety, which included fear of crime, communication, because it was felt by local people that just wasn't good enough here, both between themselves and from the authorities. And then generally, and the third one is the one we discussed quite a bit, is quality of life, because we felt that everything else contributed to quality of life. And in round terms, they've rather stayed like that throughout the 10 years.
From Dorset Police point of view, what we did find was that by working with Fairshare and some of the projects that it put in, we were able to help to drive down the antisocial behaviour that we were seeing, and also to create a much nicer place for people to come and visit and people to live.
I think the reason why the neighbourhood work was part and parcel of the work was that we have these priorities, what we saw and were identified with, and we wanted to make certain those priorities will be worked out. And I think the other thing about the value of the worker was because of the coordinating that, to making the changes that was needed, and the support that the community wanted as well, to be able to put those priorities into operation.
My initial role was to get to know local people, get to know the area. At that time, West Howe looked very different. We had a lot more fly tipping, we had a lot more graffiti and litter, and so part of my role was also to walk the streets, go to all of the quiet, hidden away garage sites, and make sure that all these environmental problems were being reported and acted upon. We've benefited from Fairshare being a long-term funding stream, in that I've been here for a long time, and by being consistent, by not disappearing after a few months or just a couple of years, people have learned, have got used to me and are comfortable to talk to me about different things. Hello, it's Martha. Another issue that we had to resolve quite early on was one of communication, and I think this happens in a lot of communities and in a lot of large organisations, is that it's difficult sometimes to make sure that we're all up to date with what each other is doing and the projects that are going on.
It's all about bringing the community together and stuff as well. So
I think through setting up the West Howe Action Group and inviting people to come together once every couple of months to share what they're doing, we've been able to get round a lot of that.
The impact that Fairshare money has had is to enable the community to work through projects and come together, really to be far more cohesive than they were before. There's a lot more volunteering that's more coordinated than it was ever before. So it's really had a positive impact on the community.
People have more confidence. That's what I have seen, and also that there are more people, residents, who have participated in the community, and by that I mean that they come along and take part in all the activities which are taking place within the community, and it's a lovely community atmosphere. And again, perhaps maybe it's about raising people's esteem and to be able to participate in the community.
The Dove project was launched in 2007, funded by Fairshare, and DOVE was an acronym for Developing Opportunities for Volunteering and Employability, and its purpose was to improve life chances for residents of West Howe particularly, and improve the outcomes for their children. And what we did was recruit, train and place volunteers in local settings, so schools, preschools, libraries, all over the place, which prompted communication between ourselves and those agencies and people on the estate, and it raised awareness for people living here that actually those opportunities were there for them.
I got involved with the Dove project about 5 years ago, and at the time I was in a very volatile relationship and my children were on a care plan, and I was told that I had to get myself involved with things like the children's centre, so I actually done the self-esteem course, and after I finished it a group of us decided to do the Dove volunteering project as well, and as you can say, since then I've never looked back. So the Dove project basically changed mine and my children's lives.
The Fair Share funding impacted my family life by giving me the skills to go and the confidence to go back to adult education, and it allowed me to go back to employment, and I actually went into employment with Dove.
I think the community came together and learnt that the Fair Share funding was for 3 years for the Dove project. And at the point of 3 years, we had met the criteria and trained up almost 90 volunteers who were placed in local settings. Had we have got funding to continue the project for longer, I don't know, the world could have been our oyster.
I still do volunteer in the community, a slightly wider community. I do girl guiding, which is rainbows, brownies and guides. So still give back to the community. What skills have I picked up on the way and what have I been involved with? You'd probably be better asked what I've not been involved with. I've been involved with the local music festival, the Inspiring Change shop. I've volunteered at schools and nurseries as well as the children's centre.
It's sustainable because the volunteers are now making this film. The volunteers are now, we have one working for social services, who gained a degree.
The Dove projects help the wider community, I think, by giving them more of a sense of community and bringing them together.
With community sustainability in mind, we have role modelled a good breed of citizens based in the local community that will go on and role model how to take their lives further, how to turn themselves around, that actually they can do something with their lives. These initial Doves are now in the community, working, volunteering and hopefully pulling the community together.
To me, it was one of the most successful projects because it provided the opportunity for people to volunteer in some of the other projects, moving on to the Inspiring Change shop, etc., and into employment or further and higher education.
My name's Jude Lovell and I have 2 boys, and we used to go to the children's centre. We did lots of courses there. At one of the parent forums we thought we need to now give back to the community because we've taken so much. I've got qualifications in so many different subjects that we need to actually give back to the community and raise money for other parents to do things that we used to do. There was about 7 or 8 of us to start with, and we sorted out a constitution. We sorted out a chair, a vice chair, secretary and a treasurer, with the help of Martha, of course, and the Dove project. They helped us as well. We've raised to this date £2,500. Now we're giving it back to other organisations in the community that need the money to help provide for their little projects. What's so special about Fun Bunch is the fact that we're putting on activities for the community which the parents and children are absolutely loving. So it's giving them something to do whilst we're raising the money.
I started going to the children's centre at first when my 2 youngest children were very small, when they were babies. I went along and did the Dove training. Started going on other courses, did maths and English, and eventually I did a photography course and I just fell in love with it. And that led me to university, which I didn't think I would have ever gone to university in my wildest dreams. Other people went there, not people that live around here don't go to university. That was my belief anyway. 3 years ago the shop opened and I come on board as one of the directors. When we first opened the shop, it was just an empty place. We didn't really know what we wanted to do here. We had adult learning in, doing a few courses. It was very quiet. What was really important that helped this shop open in the first place was the neighbourhood worker and the support we got there. I believe that this shop wouldn't have opened if it wasn't for Martha, and you know, it certainly wouldn't have had the chance to actually get off the ground really if it wasn't for her. Martha moved her office into here for a good period of time and just really held our hand through the early stages. And she stayed here until we felt confident enough that we were able to go forward ourselves. It enabled the shop to become what the community needed actually. We like to call it the smallest community centre in the world. People just come in, you know, sometimes they're feeling down, they just want to come in, have a cup of tea and a chat, they just want to get things off their chest. They might have a problem where they're not sure where to go, and we can then, you know, tell them who they need to get in touch with to get the help that they need. So this is really a lot more than a charity shop.
Moved down here to start a new life with my partner at the time. Knew nobody. My partner loves charity shops. We used to walk past every morning, every night, and they used to come in, and I used to be the shy one and stand outside, not bother like going in because I didn't know anybody, kept myself to myself. And one day all I got from inside the shop was, "Oi, what are you doing outside there? Get that smile in here." I come in and Martha will say, "Are you doing any work today?" And I'll say, "No, why, I don't volunteer here." And she went, "Well, you make the teas and that, don't you?" And I went, "Yeah." And she'll go, "Well, there you are, then you're a volunteer." So signed the forms and I become a volunteer. We have courses in here, photography, and we have a tutor in to do that. But once that tutor leaves, I'm going to be running that, which alone is an amazing thing for myself, an achievement. This shop has changed my life so much in so many ways. It's unreal. I've recently just become a director of the shop, which is amazing considering where I was. If anybody had saw us 2.5 years ago, even myself wouldn't have believed anything like that. I've also went on to further employment, which I'm happy about that, and it's all thanks to the shop.
Good afternoon, Community Development, Martha speaking. One of the benefits of the Fair Share funding and the way that the funds have been controlled by the local panel, by the panel of local residents, is that we've been able to respond more intuitively and imaginatively to local concerns. So for example, we've been able to try things for the first time just to see if it will take off, just to see if it will work. And in this way we've been able to engage with people who otherwise perhaps wouldn't have got involved. So for example, we ran a music festival for 4 years running. When we first ran it, there was some reluctance to fund a one-off event, and questions were raised around the sustainability of that event. However, we can now very clearly see that by supporting a group of residents over such a long period of time, you know, to run 4 events, builds up a lot of skills, builds up a lot of networks and friendships in the community, raises the profile of West Howe, and it's really given the arts scene a boost in this area.
Young Citizens promotes volunteering for 11 to 16-year-olds within Bournemouth. In West Howe, Young Citizens' main aim was to try and encourage young people to get involved with volunteering, really. Obviously those between the ages of 11 and 16. And that was for a variety of different projects, including obviously the Drop Shop, the Inspiring Change Shop on Cunningham Crescent, different projects that went on over at the Henry Brown.
Although there are existing youth provisions on the estate, some young people particularly identified with using volunteering as a way to tackle issues that they care about. And through that, the young people themselves were going to gain lots of transferable skills, as they would do volunteering, employability, increasing that, also to just raise the profile generally of young people within that age range living on the estate. Another thing that happened on the estate with young citizens was a partnership project between young citizens, the West Howe Festival Committee, who organised Fern Heath Festival, and Vibe Live. Basically, all three groups worked together to put on a Battle of the Bands at the Fern Heath Festival that year.
The Battle of the Bands at the festival was such a success that a year later they decided to do it again. A group of young people at Oakmead School decided to take it on. They sort of looked at what worked, what hadn't worked, and then decided to take it forward. But it's just a prime example of how an idea from Fair Share then has a legacy on, and other groups of young people take it forward and use it hopefully year after year after year.
Fair Share, when it was set up, was intended to be strategic in nature, and we interpreted that locally as meaning that everybody should be linking in together, that really we should be trying to weave a West Howe fabric so that every individual and every project, there were no boundaries, there are no silos. Every project and every volunteer is free to contribute across the whole piece, and that's why we find that people who took part in the Dove volunteering then went on to be part of Fun Bunch, or then went on to be part of the Inspiring Change Shop, or took part in the festival committee. So we have lots and lots of individuals, each of whom is contributing to maybe one, maybe 3 or 4 different projects across the area. And because of that, there's an enormous amount of communication going on. There's a sort of a West Howe narrative as people go from project to project, place to place, meeting to meeting, and share what's happening, so that everybody should have, ideally should have a good understanding of what's happening around them, but more importantly feel part of a family that is delivering improvements all of the time. People that way feel more confident and are more productive and stay longer and are happier, which I think is the really important thing.
I think West Howe's changed quite a lot since beginning of the Children's Centre coming in as well, and then the Fair Share getting involved with projects on the estate. And West Howe has grown as an estate, and the people have got a better understanding of each other and what makes them tick, and have gained a lot more confidence to go on and actually improve their own abilities, be that in education or just within their own households.
Well, the lessons that can be learned from 10 years in this Fair Share programme, I think people in West Howe already knew part of it, which was, don't come in here, parachute money and start doing things to us. Start working with us, ask us what we think, because we'll tell you, and then work with that. And it's that whole community development theory. Do it from the grassroots up, not parachute it in from top down. And I think if we can use that in any programmes forward, you'll get a lot further, a lot quicker.
I think the important aspect of this community is the Inspiring Change Shop. Why? Because people themselves in the community were able to operate and share those skills that they developed through the neighbourhood worker. And what's happened was it built up confidence in the people, it built up their self-esteem, and it was able to say, we can do this, we've got the potential, people have dismissed our potential, and people are now listening to us, that we can make a difference.
Fair Share has given West Howe the confidence and the motivation to build a brighter future.
Yeah!